So I had this idea, and I was planning on making this the instrumental track on the record, and just kind of a vibey transitional piece. It ended up being that I just liked it so much that I kind of wanted to sing on it, and it turned into a song that really, I think, captures an emotion for me and is cinematic in the way that it feels to listen to. And a lot of that was creating kind of an atmosphere with like the guitars. We had these swelling, really spaced out guitars. Yeah, the whale sounds, yeah. So kind of just creating space around everything. And we had these drums that were kind of mixed with all these toms and these loops and this kind of water drop sound as the snare at first. Yeah. Yeah, so for the first chorus, we're just kind of in that world, and we're not going all the way yet. And so really paying attention to the textures and the reverbs and the space that all those elements create. And then once we get to, I think, the second verse, second chorus, we're going to bring in this snare that just felt so huge to me, and I wanted it to feel like this impact, you know. Yeah, and we add these big toms around it. I get to the bridge, where we bring things down. We have that synth bass. And so what I did here is I took the chord progression and I changed that one chord down a half step. So now it takes on this new feel where it's not, to me that chord is almost creating this kind of hope. It's like a little beacon of hope. Where at first it was this ballad and this kind of loneliness. In the bridge, it hits that one chord, you know. And then when we get to this outro, this is basically the third chorus. So I don't really go all the way with it. I kind of take this new chord progression and I just hit that one chord the whole time, and I sing a chorus over it. And so to me it's almost like it's not a finished thought, you know. The song doesn't reach that point where it resolves 100% and the story isn't over, and then you just kind of hit this big descending fall of, like, we have these guitar parts that in that outro it just feels like you're kind of starting to float in the air, and it's kind of, you lose the motion basically that we had earlier in the song. Yeah, you know, you're hitting just the one chord and you're holding that chord over this whole section, and it just feels like you're kind of floating and you're motionless and you're weightless, and it's like, I'm coming home, you know? When you have a song like this, which for me is just about that loneliness that I think we all feel, and that, you know, when the night can feel worse than the daytime and those thoughts can hit you really hard. To me, this song just kind of embodies that unfinished thought and how things in life, you know, aren't always resolved and aren't always, you know, feeling complete yet. And so it's really part of that journey, and it just kind of became this cinematic thing where it's like a chapter in a story. You know, it's this nocturnal world that you're in, and it feels like you're floating, and it feels like water is hitting the ground, and it feels like, you know, the wind is rushing past you. So it became one of my favorite tracks kind of accidentally, and really happy with how it turned out.